Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Huzur says that in the world today, generally speaking, the attention towards religion is not paid, nor there is any interest in knowing the history of religion. Normally it is thought that in the religious world or in the religious history, it is only the importance of ladies. Huzur corrects that it's important is the men, and the ladies do not carry any importance. And this thing that anti-Islamic or anti-religious people, they flare it up and highlight it. And particularly the objection against Islam is raised again and again that ladies, they occupy a secondary position, and whatever their role may be or their sacrifices they may have to give, but they are always put in the second stage, and the status and the contribution of men is always praised, and the status and the role the ladies play is just not given the due recognition and importance. But when we analyze this situation, that whether religion and particularly Islam, the services of ladies for religion and the role that they play for the purpose of religion in the religion, and the sacrifices they do for religion, and when we compare it with the contribution of men and their role, those people, does Islam recognize the status of and the role of ladies lower, and not proper recognition is there? So then the answer of this question would be in the negative. And all knowledgeable ladies, they do know that a Muslim, from factual point of view and the research about the various aspect of life, and the one who believes in this belief, and they believe in that, and that is the Holy Quran. And those incidents reported there are other facts which are mentioned. And the Holy Quran tells us that in the history of religion, the ladies enjoy a high status, and the praiseworthy role of the ladies and the action that they do, Allah Almighty has mentioned that very clearly, and Allah Almighty has mentioned those things in the Holy Quran. And these are the praiseworthy contributions of ladies, that the ladies have been made a partner in those blessings, which for which the men, they are considered deserving of that, or they have been declared as such. And after the Holy Quran, then the sayings of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and his guidance and instructions, and they also throw light on the historical role of the ladies. And then in Jamaat Ahmadiyya Muslima, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the history of Islam and religion is witness to the point, and it throws light on this point, that the ladies, their role and their sacrifices, what high status do they enjoy? And we see that as the sacrifices of men and for the sake of religion, the important role that they play, the history of religion and Islam has preserved it. At the same time, the role and the sacrifices of the ladies, they are not less than that, and they have been recognized and established. And when we analyze, then the very beginning of the Islam begins with the sacrifice of the ladies. As everyone knows that the foundation of Islam was laid by Hadhrat Ismail, and in that the share of lady was there. The Holy Quran also mentions that, and also it is mentioned in Hadith that Allah the Almighty, he showed a vision to Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam that he is sacrificing his only son, Hadhrat Ismail alayhi salam, may peace be on him, he was the first, and for a long period he was the only son for a long period of time. Hadhrat Ishaq, he was born several years later. Anyway, Huzur says that Hadhrat Ismail alayhi salam was only a few years old when Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam saw this dream, and he related it to Hadhrat Ismail, that this is what I have seen, that as if I am sacrificing you. And that was the time when the people, in order to please their idols, they used to offer human sacrifices, and particularly to sacrifice the son used to be considered a great sacrifice. And for this reason Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam also thought that this practice is there, that to sacrifice the human soul for the statues. So this thing is being done, so therefore I should also be sacrificing my son. And Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he mentioned this thing, as it is mentioned in the Holy Quran, when he mentioned this thing to his father, and the reply of Hadhrat Ismail was that you please fulfill the dream as you have seen. You will find me very steadfast in this case. And then Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam took his son Ismail and into the jungle and made him lie down face down, and so that when he suffers the pain, then he might not desist from that. But when he was just about to sacrifice and slaughter him, it is mentioned in the Holy Quran that Allah Almighty revealed to him that Kad Saddaqta Roya, that when you are ready to sacrifice your son, so then certainly you have fulfilled your dream. And this action clearly indicates that practically you can sacrifice your son, but you don't have to sacrifice him now. And from this day onward in the religious history, Allah Almighty says that the sacrifice of human beings is abolished from today, and this thing is not right. Rather, there are different ways of human sacrifice which will be introduced, which will be much higher, and permanent sacrifices, and also that will be a means of offering continuous sacrifices. And then Allah Almighty, as it is mentioned, that Hadhrat Hajra and Hadhrat Ismail, that you take them to the place of Mecca and leave them there. So then Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, he took Hadhrat Hajra and Hadhrat Ismail to Mecca, and at that time there was no place populated for miles on miles, and just a sack of water and some sack of dates was left with them. That was the only provision, and he left them there and came back. From here, from this point, the story of the permanent sacrifice begins. Allah Almighty abolished the human sacrifice and started the other sacrifices. And actually, in the dream, this type of sacrifice was mentioned, as a matter of fact, and not the sacrifice related to the slaughtering of the son. That you leave them in a place where there is nothing to eat, no water to drink, and that is something like slaughtering them. It will be taken on your account. And when he turned back, and after a few steps he looked back, and then he started journey, then he stopped, then he looked backward to them, and when he was doing it many times, then Hadhrat Hajra, who was very intelligent lady, she thought that he is not leaving us just for an ordinary objective, and he is not wandering around to find a good place. There is a secret, there is something important which he is hiding from us. Hadhrat Hajra went after Hadhrat Ibrahim and asked him that, are you leaving us alone here? Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam did not answer anything verbally, and Hadhrat Hajra continued walking after him for some time, but Hadhrat Ibrahim alayhi salam did not give any reply to her. Hadhrat Hajra understood that because of passions and feelings at that time and the pain, he was not answering this question. Finally, Hadhrat Hajra said that, "O Ibrahim, on whose command you are going to leave us here?" Hadhrat Ibrahim could not speak because of feelings and passions, but he pointed out to the heaven and indicated like that. At that, Hadhrat Hajra said that if you are leaving it under the instruction of God Almighty, then don't worry, and there is nothing to worry about that. If Allah Almighty has said like that, then He is going to look after that. And after that, she went back. This was the standard of the belief of Hadhrat Hajra. And then that small quantity of water and few dates, that finished, and all the provision was finished. So then Hadhrat Aisha, and whenever Hadhrat Ismail would ask for water or date or anything to eat, where she could provide that. For miles on, there was no population around that, and there was no possibility of having any arrangement. So finally, Hadhrat Ismail alayhi salam, he started becoming unconscious because of hunger, and he would ask for water, and again he would become unconscious, and the mother becoming very much passionate looking at the condition of the son. So he would go to Safa and try to search for anybody who is passing that way. She would go to the top of Safa and nobody was seen there. Then she would run towards Marwa and then go up there. And the reason for running there, that there was a lower place between that where he could not see Hadhrat Ismail. So then he would run very fast and go to the top and to see her son. And when she completed the 7 circuits, then the voice of the angel came that, Hajra, you go back to your son. Allah Almighty has arranged for water. When she reached her son and she saw that the place where this son was there in painful condition, there was water. And then more people started coming, the caravans, and they making their stay point there. And he re-established the foundation of Mecca. And then he prayed to Allah that, "Oh my Allah, the people who are going to live here and from my progeny, you sent such a prophet, established such a prophet who would recite there your verses and recite to them your book and tell them the wisdom of that, and also purify their hearts and purify their soul." And the foundation of Mecca, that was for the purpose of the advent of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in that the man and the woman both were included in that. Hadhrat Hajra, if she did not depend on on Allah Almighty and she was not ready to sacrifice the son, so then she would not have got that status which she enjoys in the heart of all the Muslims. And then the Holy Quran has mentioned about the mother of Hadhrat Moses, and Allah Almighty told him that you are going to have a son, and the Pharaoh is your enemy. He would attempt to kill him. So when he is born, so then put that son, newborn baby, into a sack, in a basket, and put it in the river. And the dependence and the reliance upon Allah which she enjoyed, and she did like that. And she did not care that my son may be drowned in the river, and maybe this basket might go anywhere here and there, and maybe some animal can attack that. And otherwise, it could have been done on the land if the sun was there, but there was no possibility when it was in the sea. But complete dependence upon Allah Almighty was there, and immediately she took that step. So this is such a bold action and response and compliance, which among the millions might be one person taking there, that with her own hand she put her son into the river. And maybe in centuries, maybe one person would be doing like that. And then this was the incident through which Hadhrat Musa alayhi salam, it is mentioned about the mention of the service of another lady who was the wife of Pharaoh, and she persuaded Pharaoh in somehow, and she took that child for nourishment, and she was always praying to Allah that, "Oh Allah Almighty, remove the darkness of shirk and partnership with Allah, and the unity of Allah is established." Now you see that she was the wife of the king, and all the facilities and amenities were available, and she was living with the Pharaoh, who considered himself to be somebody equal to God. But the piety of nature and courage and boldness, despite all these things, she rejected all these things. She created this desire in her heart for the establishment of the rule of God, and Allah Almighty gave her such a status that Allah Almighty has mentioned and preserved this mention in the Holy Quran. Now these were two ladies. They are the ladies who are playing their role in the establishment of religion. Then Hadhrat Isa alayhi salam, his mother also gave the sacrifice. She saw her son being nailed on the cross and hanging there, and she saw this whole scenario with great courage. Maybe very rarely there may be any other mother who could have done like that and be ready for this sacrifice. In short, in the history of religion, the status of ladies and sacrifices have been recorded and preserved. And then furthermore we see in the history of Islam that Hadhrat Khadija, from the very first revelation of the Holy Prophet till the time he claimed, and he was bitterly opposed for 13 long years. This lot of suffering was there, and she stood by the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this way she was a very rich lady, and she handed over all the wealth. And also in Shebi Abi Talib, in very tight, very delicate situation, hunger and thirst was there. And for 2.5 years this long sacrifice continued. And similarly other Muslim ladies in that period of time, they suffered and they went through various hardships. And that has been preserved in the history. Then if you talk about the talking of knowledge and spirituality, and only it's not that the ladies are deprived, but the only men have that. The history of Islam talks beautiful wisdom of spoken by ladies that has been preserved. For example, the Holy Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that if somebody is there to get the religious knowledge, so then half of the religion can be learnt from Aisha, because I have trained her in such a way that the matters of religion, and particularly related to ladies, and she knows. And now we know that there are so many traditions reported by Hadhrat Aisha related to the issues of ladies. And look at the Holy Quran. Everywhere in the mention of various instructions and the instructions and guidance and the commandments, the mention of men and women is there. If the piety and men is mentioned, then the ladies are also called pious. If men worship, then the ladies, their worship is mentioned. Men will go to paradise, and men will get a high status, then the ladies will also get. They will also do the worship. And because of a good pious person, if the lady can go to the paradise, even she does. But similarly, if the more good is done by the ladies, then the husband can also enter into paradise because of the good deeds of the wife. The fact of the matter is that the high status in paradise, if the men will be there because of their doings, So then on the same status, the ladies will also be there. It is also in narration that one lady, she came to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and she submitted that men are more close to God Almighty because they do the jihad, and we do not do that. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said that you can also join the jihad, and she did not refuse her. And when they participated in that battle and Muslims became victorious, she participated in there. So despite the fact that the saying of the men that she did not took that much part in the battle as we have taken, so therefore she does not deserve to get any share of the spoils of war. The Holy Prophet said that no, she should be given the share, equal share of the spoils of war. And after that it became a practice that for the ladies, for the treatment of the sick people and wounded people, they should go with them. And the ladies sometime openly they did the jihad, and despite all the dangers, side by side with the men, they performed various responsibilities, and they used to go for jihad. And this is also mentioned in the narration that these ladies got the training of war, of fighting, and this was their thinking, that for the sake of God we have to be ready for all types of sacrifices. And the most important, the priority of religion, that was religion, and the worldly pursuits did not have any importance to them. So if we claim today that we have to spread the message of Islam to each and every corner of the world, then we have to sacrifice our personal egos, and we have to create among our husbands and children, we have to teach them and instill this point in their heart, that to get the pleasure of Allah Almighty is the greatest achievement, and the love of Allah and the love of the Prophet, that is the topmost, and all other loves, they are much under that, much less than that. Allah and His Messenger, the love with that, the first, and the love of husband should be secondary. There is an incident in the history, it has been preserved in history, because this sacrifice was appreciated during the period of the Holy Prophet, when this news came that the Roman forces are coming to attack Arabia, and as opposed to that, the Roman power was so strong as today the America is going to attack a small country, and these forces are coming to attack a small country. So anyway, such a big power, the news came that with their armies they are coming to attack the Muslims. The Holy Prophet ﷺ decided that instead of this thing that the Roman army should come and attack us, it will be appropriate that we should go out in order to confront this army outside. And 10 or 12,000 people, he went out of Medina. There were hundreds of people were there, big army was there of the Roman. So this Muslims had only the strength of 10 or 12,000 people. So that was considered enough. And all the mu'mineen, he asked all the mu'mineen, all the believers to participate in this war. So the Holy Prophet had sent a companion for something to do. He was not present in Medina, so he could not join. When that companion, when he came back to Medina, by that time the Holy Prophet ﷺ had gone out of Medina. When he came, this companion, so he did not know any information about the Holy Prophet going outside. He only knew that the Holy Prophet is out for some expedition. When he came to his own house, and he showed his love and affection to the wife turned him away and say, "You should be ashamed that the Holy Prophet ﷺ has gone out for a very dangerous expedition and you are showing your love and affection to me. The companion was so much impressed that he immediately got onto the mount and came after the Holy Prophet ﷺ. So now the love of husband and the love comparison is there with the love of Allah, and that the lady must be in love with her husband. But when this question came, that the Holy Prophet ﷺ is in distress and the husband is in comfort, she could not tolerate that. So sacrifice of her sentiments and to sacrifice her life in this matter and to sacrifice their children, such happenings, they are plentiful in the Islamic history. And many such examples I have mentioned in my Friday sermons. They didn't care about the father of the brother, and they were only worried about the safety of the Holy Prophet. So history has not preserved the examples of only big people, but poor and helpless people, their sacrifices. Islamic history had preserved that. For example, Labina is the name of the companion lady, and she was a female slave. And before Islam, Umar used to beat her so much that he would get tired, and when he got the strength, then he started beating again. Hadhrat Labina, she would only say in reply to all this torture that if you do not accept Islam, then Allah Almighty will not leave this torture unrevenged. And this was it depends on the Allah. Then Zunaira was another lady. She was a female slave of Banu Makhzum, and Abu Jahl beat her so mercilessly and struck on the face that she lost her eyesight. And the mother of Hadhrat Ammar, Hadhrat Sumayya, she was old in her thigh because of the enmity of Islam. Abu Jahl put a spear there, and then it went out of her stomach and she got embraced martyrdom. In short, there are so many such examples where examples of the sacrifice of the Muslim ladies. Why these things have been preserved in history? So that the people who are coming later, they can know their history. They should find out, they should know that for the sake of God and for the greatness of the religion of Allah Almighty, you have to give sacrifices. And through the sacrifices of men and women, the nations are created. The nations do not come into being because of the sacrifices of men or only because of sacrifices of leader. Rather, both of them have to give the sacrifice. And through the sacrifices of both have to play their role. And we Ahmadis, in this respect, we are very fortunate that in this age and time, when the revival of Islam, this is the time of the revival of Islam, Allah Almighty has sent the promised Messiah ﷺ, so that the beautiful teaching of Islam, we should be spreading it throughout the world. When he made the claim that Muslims and non-Muslims, they all opposed him. Muslim ulama opposed him, and they declared the verdict of killing against that. That one thing that you have made a claim of being a prophet, and other Muslims are not ready to accept as such. And secondly, they said that you have abolished the jihad with sword. And he says that in subordination to the Holy Prophet ﷺ, my claim is only that I am a subordinate prophet, I am a follower prophet, I am a follower and a slave of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and in order to spread his message, the message of true Islam. And moreover, to make the Islamic teaching prevalent in the world. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ himself, regarding the promised Messiah to come, he has been declared as the Nabiullah. And that concept of jihad which you present, in this age and time, there is no need of such jihad, because the attacks on Islam, they are through the books and the literature and through pen, and the same methods you have to use. And the beautiful teaching of Islam, you tell the people the beautiful teaching of Islam. And this is for the promise to come. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has said that he would postpone those wars and he will finish away with this jihad of sword. And the jihad will continue with pen and other peaceful means and media. And the men and the women both have the need to take part in that. But this thing, the so-called ulama, and they have started torture against Ahmadis, and Ahmadis have to give the sacrifice, and men and women both gave the sacrifices. They offered their life and their wealth, and for the propagation of religion they have to sacrifice their children and the sacrifice of the wealth, so that the beautiful teaching of Islam and the promised Messiah ﷺ, that teaching that we have got through him, that message should reach the world. Today, along with the mother, the Ahmadi ladies, it is the result of their sacrifices that more than 210 countries, the Ahmadiyya, the true Islam, the message has reached to the people. If in the name of peaceful religion, if Islam is known like that, so then that is because of Ahmadiyya. So all you people who are, those who are sitting in front of me, the ladies particularly, Huzur is pointing to them, that you should remember that you are coming over here. That is because of the sacrifice of the men and women. Your very presence and the spread of Ahmadiyya in the world. That is because of the sacrifices of the ladies who are spread all over the world. Particularly in those countries where Ahmadis are being persecuted, there the sacrifice has been given by both men and women. You are coming over here, and that is because of the sacrifice of those ladies, and because of the they protected their religion, and to protect the religion. And this series of sacrifice is continuing even today. There are certain sacrifices of the ladies that they remind us about the sacrifices given in the earlier centuries. I give the example of certain sacrifices. One is really wonderstruck looking at that sacrifice, not only in Pakistan, in various countries of the world. They are preferring religion over the world, and for the sake of religion they are sacrificing their families and their children. They sacrifice their lives. For example, Dr. Noreen Sahiba in Pakistan, she was only 28, and Shiraz, her husband, was 37. Both of them in their own medical field. They were very expert in their field. They were martyred in Multan because they were the believers of the Imam of the age. Very brutally, they were strangled to death. And then in 2010, when in Daruzikar in Maltown, when our mosques were attacked there, and then Ahmadis, they embraced martyrdom in large number. Some young people, they also sacrificed their life. And the reaction of the mothers at that time was that we are ready for every type of sacrifice. One mother said that from my lap, I have given my young son in the lap of God. And one parent said they one only son and 3 daughters. And when he embraced the martyrdom, then the mother said that we are also ready to lay down our lives for Islam. And 2011 in Lajna, when the opponents attacked their house, then the Ahmadis, one lady with the name of Maryam Khatun, she was attacked by a cutter several times, and the administration at that time, they actually helped the attackers, because the law in Pakistan does not work against the attackers. And it's not only the case of Pakistan. The atrocities are being committed, and as a result of that, there are several Ahmadis. They are forced to go to foreign countries, and as I said, you are sitting here now, and Allah Almighty has made their life better. So the gratefulness for this thing, you should be grateful to Allah Almighty for these blessings that Allah Almighty has improved your life here, and the benefit and the fruit of their sacrifices, they are coming your way, your husband and your children, and that thing should increase you more and more in sacrifices, and in fulfilling the covenant of giving preference of religion to the world. We should there, and not that you should be fascinated by the glamour of the world, and you should completely lost in that and forget the religion. As I said, that remember this thing also, that if in Pakistan these opponents, they are not but it is not only in Pakistan, but in many other countries, because of Ahmadiyyat, they are being persecuted. Yes, in Pakistan, as I said, the law and the constitution helps the aggressors in Pakistan, and that is this so-called people of Muslim leadership, but they are doing it. But from other countries, I also get the news about the persecution of those Ahmadis there, and these incidents have to be preserved in our history, so that today and the future, the Ahmadis should know these things, that in the progress of Ahmadiyyat, the Ahmadi ladies, they have offered lot of sacrifices, and in the progress of Ahmadiyyat, there is a prominent role of the Ahmadi ladies in the progress of Ahmadiyyat. These ladies protected their faith, they did not submit it to oppressors, and in such examples, one lady is found in the history of Ahmadiyyat. Her name was Phupi Sayyid Sahiba. In 1946, during the period of Hadhrat Muslim Maud, looked at the picture of Hadhrat Muslim Maud, she embraced Ahmadiyyat. At that time she was 80. She was widow and without any issue, without any children, and she used to teach Quran to the villagers, and many boys and girls used to get the training of Quran. And the people stood against her, and they said that she was left completely helpless in her village. When and the people came to know about her being Ahmadi, and her brother took her to Gujarat, and she was captured there and locked into there, and no food was given to her. And this lady, after several days of hunger and thirst, she passed away. She did not cry, and no protest was made, and nor she left the Ahmadiyyat. She said that I will rather die instead of leaving the Ahmadiyyat. And then there is a sacrifice of an Ahmadi lady, and the circle in charge, Maharashtra ke Sholapur, that in Sholapur Sheher, 35 kilometers away, Ittihad in Kot Gaon, there is a village, and the non-Ahmadis, they used all tactics, and they forced the people to accept to leave Ahmadiyyat, and the social boycott was there, and deprived them from all facilities, and the people with firm faith, they were there. A wife of a farmer, and they stopped giving any job to the ladies, and when she was completely helpless, she went to her brothers, and her brother was also strongly opposed to Ahmadiyyat, and he said that if you renounce Ahmadiyyat, then there will be no problem, we will help you. But she said that I would rather die hungry and thirsty, but the blessing of Ahmadiyyat that Allah has given me, I am not going to renounce that. So Allah Almighty helped her, and there was some means for provision, and all the provision which was given by the state for it was not being paid, and after that she got it, and because of this government pension, and the financial difficulty was over, and then Allah Almighty improved her condition. Then from India, circle in charge, from Bengal, he writes, Shubila Bibi Sahiba is the name, wife of Qiamuddin Sahib. She accepted Ahmadiyyat in Bengal, and after accepting Ahmadiyyat from the relatives, they tortured them, and house was broken in, and all the animals she had, they were stolen away, and they broke her arm as well by beating. And because of all these things, she did not leave Ahmadiyyat, and she was very firm in Ahmadiyyat, and she underwent all the tortures. And Allah Almighty showed so much blessing that all the opponents who tortured her, they were all killed one by one. And also the state of poverty was also over, and also gave her the good house which was broken in by these people, and she also recovered and became healthy, and the financial position was also okay. And then there is a mention from Bangladesh. Amir Sahib from Bangladesh says, in a village, Kudopara, Samina Sahiba with the name, the husband beat the wife because of Ahmadiyyat the whole night, and she became unconscious, and then the husband threw her away, and there was one son who had died, and she spent the life for 29 years all alone, but she was very firm in Ahmadiyyat, and with her own effort she learnt the Bangla language. Previously she was illiterate, and then she learnt so many prayers, and she used to teach Quran to the children, and various programs of the local Jamaat she participated. She was always in the forefront of good things, looking after the guest, and there was no Muslim in their community, and all these duties she was doing all these responsibilities. In 2011 she passed away, and she got a house from the government which she dedicated to the community before she passed away. And not only this much, that in these countries, in poor countries, there are ladies who are sacrificing. Not only this much, we know that the ladies, we find the mention of those ladies who are living in advanced countries. One or two I'm going to mention. Those after accepting Ahmadiyyat, they not only followed the Islamic teaching, nor they left the old style of their life, but in order to maintain that, so when the sacrifices were asked from them, so they threw away, rejected the worldly things, and they preferred what was said by Allah and the Messenger. Here in Germany, a German lady, Maria Sahiba is the name, she mentioned herself that after accepting Ahmadiyyat, she started wearing hijab, and she was working in a hospital in Germany. The administration of the hospital said that because of hygienic reason, she cannot use the hijab. In that situation, she wrote to me for prayer. Anyway, I sent my reply that Allah Almighty keep you peacefully, and peaceful good job you may be granted. And the administration of the hospital, they made the pretext of hygiene. They stopped her wearing hijab, and she in that difficult situation she left the job, but she did not let his faith being damaged. And after some time, Allah Almighty created this situation that she got even a better job later on, and the atmosphere was also good. So this is a lesson for those ladies and young girls, those who, when they come to the Western country, when they come here, they leave their hijab. Remember that blessings of Allah Almighty are going to be gotten by those people who follow the Islamic teaching and follow His commandments, and then Allah Almighty will bless them abundantly. And similarly, one lady who joined the community, Kazakhstan, the missionary from there writes that Guzil Sahiba, 2001 she joined the community, and in 2002 she got admission in his university, and the parents also got a job in university. When the teachers, they came to know about her being Ahmadi, so first of all they pressurized her that you leave Ahmadiyyat, and they tried their best to take her away from Ahmadiyyat, but when they were unsuccessful, then they all put hands together and they declared the boycott against her, and told everyone that nobody should speak, nobody should greet her. But this lady was very firm in Ahmadiyyat, and she did not care any opposition or hardship. And because of this opposition, the father told the administration that if you do not stop this pressure on me, then Allah Almighty will close the university. Now look how Allah Almighty fulfilled this thing and how He took the revenge. And then 2005, such a condition was there that the university was closed. So this is the one example of the firmness and steadfastness of faith. Which and this example should always, every man and woman, Ahmadiyya, they should try to get. This is the condition of giving preference of religion over the world, and which all the Muslim men and Muslim ladies, they always claim. So as long as they are firm in this claim, then Allah Almighty is going to help them. Allah Almighty give you the strength that you always give preference to religion, and the covenant that you make, Allah Almighty enable you to fulfill, and the love of Allah and the love of the Prophet should be higher than every other love. And the very beautiful examples of this manifestation should always be there in Ahmadi men and women, and the demonstration of that should be there through every word and through action. And through this practical demonstration, they should be able to win the hearts of the people. They should be ready for all sacrifices for Ahmadiyyat. And after coming over here, instead of the love of the worldly things, then instead of that, the passion of following Islam, and that should be the overriding factor. And these examples of the sacrifice, this should not be taken as an intellectual thing or just a temporary sort of thing, but rather you should make a firm resolve that we have to get the purpose of our creation, and we have to make our progeny also gaining the same purpose, and that is the love of Allah, and to become the true worshipper of Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty enable all of us to have that. Now please join in prayer.